33 degrees Fahrenheit. So this is getting cold outside. First question you have to ask yourself, and again, we're looking at it from a more global perspective. So the question is now, the customer comes in and says it's not heating. What's the first thing you should ask yourself if there's multiple refrigerants? Which refrigerant is it running on? Because if it's a CO2 system, and I know in the US you don't have CO2, but if it was, you would say, okay, if it is a CO2 system, we know it does have enough capacity to heat up the battery pack, heat up the cabin because of the high pressure and CO2. Therefore, it cannot be the PDC heater that's the issue. We have to look elsewhere. But if it's a 1234YF system like you have in the US, we know, okay, if it's not heating enough, it could be multiple things that we're looking at, not just the fact that there's a low charge or something like that. So that's the first thing you need to ask yourself. Secondly, we're still looking at a compressor, compressing gas into the internal condenser, into the evaporator. We still shut off to the outside because it's gonna freeze the condenser, evaporator. But now it goes into the heat exchanger. The thing that's a little bit annoying with this picture is that this should be red because the PDC heater is on. So the coolant is warmer now than it was before. Unfortunately, our marketing department doesn't work as fast as I talk. So therefore, it's been taking them like 3 years now to change it, and it still hasn't changed. But just imagine that this is red instead of blue, okay? So what's happening now is that we want a bigger heat load. That means that we're having more refrigerant going through. That also means that we have more liquid. That means that the heat exchanger needs to be warmer to evaporate the refrigerants. Otherwise, we will have too much liquid returning back into the compressor, even though there is an accumulator. So this is where it gets really warm, and this is where we have an issue in Norway. Simply because the 1234YF works well all the way down to -5 or 23 degrees Fahrenheit. After that, it needs support. It needs a PDC heater that supports the heating process. And when you turn on a PDC heater, you're dragging energy out of the battery pack, meaning you're reducing range. Okay? So in Norway, what's happening is that as soon as it goes below -5 degrees, all of a sudden the range drops by 50%. And I'm not even joking. So the fact that you think that a Tesla drives 400 miles per charge of 600 kilometers is a big, fat joke when it's Christmas time in Norway. And Christmas time in Norway is just like winter time in Chicago. Sorry, but it is. So if you're driving from San Francisco to Chicago to visit your family and then going back, you're going to be charging the hell out of that vehicle before you get to San Francisco again. Make sense?